We're going to take a look at a Color Rite product that's going to help you out with fixing some chips, scratches, or this kind of damage from a simple tip over of your motorcycle. Color Rite product here, we're using the Color Rite touch-up kit, which is these small containers. We've got primer, we've got the color, the clear coat, some rubbing compound. This whole kit comes with everything you need. It's about 50 bucks. Instructions, tape, all the wet sanding products, pretty much everything that you need to get going. So let's get going. All right, first thing we're gonna do is we are gonna look at the area and we're gonna scuff it up wet sanding. And what I'm using here is a Windex or a window cleaner type product to get the sanding area wet. You could use soapy water, but I'm starting out with the 600 grit paper that was supplied in the Color Rite complete touch-up kit. So I'm gonna scuff this area up, and you can see what I'm working on doing is getting the chips to be one big area. I want to get rid of those small imperfections right there and make this one smooth area. So I'm going to get the wet sanding paper a little bit more wet, and I want the lubricant to be, well, the soapy water or the window stuff at this point. So I'm going to keep on sanding, and I want to get all those small imperfections gone and this into one large smooth area here. So I'm going to keep on swirling here. I've worked my way up from the 600 to the 1000 grit now because I want to smooth this over. I don't want grooves into the paint from the sandpaper. So I'm going to keep working my way up. You can see, oh, look, there's a little bit of a dent in the middle there here. So let's keep on working with this 1000 grit. Now I'm going to feather the area a little bit larger because we're going to be adding the Color Rite paint products to a broader area so you can't see the blending or that small chipped area. So I'm working, swirling a little bit larger than the damaged area over and over. I keep lubricating the area again with your soapy water, or in my case, the window cleaner is what I'm using, the Windex. And that works good because it removes wax as well. So here I go. I keep swirling it around and working the area bigger. And let's wipe and take a look. There we go. So we're just going to keep working this area until I don't see any ridges left from the factory paint. So I want to keep sanding and sanding and smoothing that area over and get that area looking really blended and clear. And you can see right now it's only taken me a minute or so. This is real time. And I've got the area smoothed over, and I'm continuing to blend it and get a little bit larger. All right, so let's keep on going with this. We're gonna wipe it off, and we're gonna keep inspecting this each time we go. Oh, you can see that dent a little bit. That's where the heavy build primer is gonna come in. So we've got our 1500 grit here and our 2000 grit. We're gonna save these for when we actually put the paint products on. So we're gonna keep working with that 1000 grit a little bit and blend that area. You can see I've went a little bit larger, and we're gonna keep going. Now, don't worry about these swirls or scratches, you could call it, the matte type finish we're adding to the paint, because we're going to buff that out later on after we add the paint and the clear coat and everything dries and cures. We're going to wet sand and buff that clear coat and blend the entire process. So we're just going to keep on swirling this around and getting a little bit larger, feathering it out. And you can see right there, I've got a nice larger area. So a little bit more of the window cleaner on here, and we'll give this one more once over to make sure everything and all the areas that we want the paint to stick to have some micro scratches for that paint to bond to. So we're going to go over this one last time before we use the Color Rite product that's included in the kit to actually clean this area and get rid of all of this window product, all of the debris from us sanding. And here we go. We're going to take this towelette, we're going to open this thing up, and we are going to wipe this area down really good, making sure that we get rid of all of the contaminants. That would be any wax that's on the tank, any dirt, any debris, fingerprints. We want this area nice and clean before we go to put the primer on. Now, if you don't have bare metal or bare plastic showing, you might not need to use the primer, but in our case, obviously you can see we've got bare metal here, so we're gonna put some primer down. You may wanna save these towelettes. You can, put it in a Ziploc bag. You might use it later on for something else. So here we go. The area is cleaned up nice. We've got it blended. You can see how far I went with scuffing the clear coat from the factory paint. And there's no visible ridges between the paint and the bare metal. You can see I've smoothed that area over and I'm not actually touching it here, but it's blended nicely. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is we wanna make sure that this paint is the right color. So Color Rite comes with a little test sheet. Put a swab on there or a spray if you have the spray version of this kit. I'm going to let this dry a little bit and just take this and hold it up near a panel that's going to match the color that you want. In our case, we've got a metallic charcoal black gray color and it does match. So first thing we're going to do is, in this case, back to the primer. So I've got the Color Rite touch-up primer pen here. I'm going to swab a little bit onto that area and feather it really lightly. You can see I didn't put much on there. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to put 2 to 3 coats on there because I want to build over that small dent. And when it's done, cured and dried, I'm going to take this 600 grit paper and lightly wet sand to blend that primer to the black paint. Now, our primer done, lightly smoothed over with the sandpaper, and I used the 600 grit. I'm putting the first coat of the paint down in a horizontal pattern here. I'm taking my time to cover all the primer and feather the paint into the factory paint. Now, don't worry about the bumps and the ridges at this point too much. Just get a good coat on. Now, with our second coat, I'm going to run this in the opposite direction so I don't get deep brush strokes in one direction or the other. As you can see, I'm going the opposite direction with the paint right now. Make sure to feather again onto the factory paint. Let this dry, following the Color Rite instructions before I get to the Color Rite clear that I've got here. So I let that dry about 5 to 10 minutes between each coat. When I come back to the clear, I'm going to go over all of this black paint, feathering around onto the factory paint that I've got scuffed up. Again, making sure to follow the instructions for the dry times between coats is really important with this. We'll get this clear coat down from there before we start to do any kind of polishing or buffing or anything like that. So don't get too worried about a little bit of imperfections at this point. Taking note, put the clear coat down, the exact same scenario as with the paint. Now this would be my actual second coat with the clear going down. And actually again, feathering this over all of the black paint. You need to make sure you cover all of your paint work, getting this onto the factory paint. Now with that done, I've got a couple coats of clear on here. I would suggest a minimum of 2, but 3 coats are good because once you get all the paint covered and you have these imperfections, we're going to be wet sanding, so we're going to be removing material. So you want 3 good coats of paint before you get the sand. Smoothing everything over, blending this material that we added to the back material. All this scuffed up area right here. Taper edge. Again, back to our Color Rite instructions here. Back to our wet sanding process after this has dried per the instructions. Now you want to follow these, and I'm letting this cure or dry